It's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Monday. Christian, I know I dumped a bunch of stuff in your lap, but are you really like that angry at me that you're going to start with Christmas music?
Only a handful more shows.
I made the decision last night.
Going for it.
And I knew that you would have something to say, but...
Dude, I am so... I am over after this weekend. I am so over Christmas. Like,
what did you do?
Particularly aggravating. I had the Christmas Saturday extravaganza.
Okay.
No, you didn't need to. You can turn it off.
What?
You were talking about Chuck Berry last week too.
Somehow, well, he was a talented guitar player.
Good song.
It's not what we were talking about.
So Saturday, I did the. I don't know. My wife scheduled the holiday bang bang of all time. Matinee.
What'd you go see?
We went to the Nutcracker.
Yeah, of course.
Bang! Bang!
Classic.
Come on, man. Bang!
And then the same night, come home from the Nutcracker, breeze through the house, drop the kids off with the sitter, downtown to the Eccles Center for 'Twas the Night Before.
Oh, okay. With Cirque du Soleil, right?
Which was super good.
Was that? Okay.
But very holiday theme.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen a Cirque du Soleil show, you can't help but not like it. It's awesome. But very, I mean, music, Christmas music, the whole way. I mean, just jingled my dang backside off on Saturday, and I've had enough.
Okay, you're done with the holidays
I've had
now.
enough. At least for Monday. I can't make it into the first segment of Monday without having, I'm staring straight at a dang tree.
Yes, you are. 2.5 weeks. And you know I always have the spirit, so you're stuck with me
Home
too.
Alone 1 is a very good Christmas movie, and I was watching it last night, and that song came on, and I said, you know what? I think I will open the show with the Christmas song every day for the rest of the year.
My family has already watched Home Alone.
We haven't watched it yet.
Happened.
Have to throw it on.
Neither
here nor there.
The debate I'm having with my kids is who gets more hurt, Harry or Marv.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Marv. Funny.
Easy. You think the nail through the foot. Getting your head lit on fire is pretty bad.
Head lit on
Iron
fire.
dropped from the top story of the house
that's
on his
true.
face.
Yeah, the paint can to the face would just break every bone in your face.
A crowbar to the chest multiple times?
Yeah. Poor, was it Daniel Lloyd? What's his name?
Oh.
Because I'm sure Pesci was like, I'm not doing all of it. I'm not doing all of the worst stuff. So give it to Stern?
What's his
Stern.
name? Yeah.
Daniel Stern.
Lloyd, Salazar's in there. Lloyd, who gets more hurt in Home Alone, Harry or Marv?
Yeah. I think that's the consensus.
How the head burn.
Head burning, though, would be brutal.
And the crowbar to the chest.
Yeah.
That's right. And, well, I guess they both hit ice pretty good.
Head burn might be the most dangerous.
Hand burn?
You don't want an infection in your head.
Kind of a violent movie.
Insanely.
Come to think of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it's bizarre.
I guess Marv gets the Christmas ornaments under his bare feet, too. That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Where's the Tylenol? How does the rest of that? Yeah. How does the rest of that go?
Yeah.
And then I got to work on Sunday. I felt like it was a break from the Christmas madness. All right. Anyway, how was your weekend, Ben? You have a good time?
Also busy, but great. Yeah, no, good weekend. Watched some football. Listened to a lot of angry people on social media. Then went to the Jazz game last night.
Christian had to do a show with RSV.
I know. Christian's dying over there. You okay?
It was so bad on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's.
I apologize for anybody that listened.
How his weekend went.
It's the job, unfortunately.
Been there.
We've all been there.
So all right. Well, should we dive into the playoff, Ben, or do you want to talk about the game itself? I feel like I suppose the snub is the big story this morning.
I maybe because I don't know why it would be, because nobody left the game Saturday morning thinking, man, BYU really deserves to be in the playoff. I mean, that's not how they played. They were awful. You said the one thing I guess they couldn't really afford to do, but they should go out and try and do it anyways, is the Jake Heaps game. You can't have the 5 turnover game. Now, they should just go throw it and try and move the ball that way, but the way it could backfire is if it is the Jake Heaps game, and that's what they got. I mean, that was a horrendous performance by BYU. That was what I think everybody feared could happen, and the game was over at halftime, and we already knew BYU wasn't going to be considered for the playoff at that point.
The game was not over at halftime. It was 13-7.
But BYU hadn't moved the ball since the opening drive, and it was clear that Texas Tech had total control.
It was 13-7 until midway through the third quarter, and he did throw the one interception. But when did the spin out of control happen? I mean, it was a desperation thing because they did not do what I prescribed. They came out so conservative. Why did they not move the ball more in the first half? It was so conservative. Even the 7-minute drive or whatever it was that actually scored, I honestly think that was like a Rusty Westbrook making his first 3.
Yeah.
The conservative game plan paid off on the first drive, and they're like, oh, okay. Even their throws on second down, which I'm just begging for a throw on freaking second down, is like a screen that happens to work once. And that drive is full of all this cute stuff that actually happens to work. And it's nothing. It's not throw it down. It took 7 dang minutes. It was not a go put it on them type of game plan. And then it works at the beginning. And then they just go into their shell for the next quarter. And then all of a sudden one mistake spins the game out of control. It was absolutely a game plan issue. And I don't mean to take necessarily the players all off the hook, but like I had Christian pull this drop. It totally reminded me of the John L. Smith. Do you remember? Now, John L. Smith was a coach at Utah State in the 90s, and he left to take a bigger job at Michigan State and actually did a fairly decent job. Yeah. But he was volatile would be a kind way to put it. He actually ended up back at Weber State toward the tail end of his career and hosed them over to take the interim job in Arkansas.
Yes, he did.
After Bobby Petrino got caught having an affair with his personal assistant. So all that comes together nice. I always thought. Anyway.
Did you have sound you wanted to play or no?
Yeah. He's walking off the field. It's a halftime interview. And really, it culminates with this saying.
The coaches are screwing it up.
I thought BYU's coaches screwed it up. I thought they came out with the wrong game plan. I thought it ended up being the exact replica of the first game. And the fact that they had success on the first drive was fool's gold, because they're running on first and second down. They're running on third down, for crying out loud, in the first half. And it was not confidence in the quarterback, and it was not let him go out and make some plays. It was not welcome back Chase. We're going to let you go beat your guy and beat one-on-one coverage. It was not any of that. It was the same as the first game. And then eventually one mistake cost them the game. And I'm oversimplifying that on purpose, because that one mistake, I mean, the game was at such a razor's edge that midway through the third quarter, one mistake, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there's the crumble, and everybody's waiting for it to happen. And then you back the freshman into a corner, which is the last thing you want to do. And then it's over. And it was over because the true freshman came out. Because you backed him into a corner in a close game that was on a razor's edge, and the defense was holding on for dear life, and then one mistake happens, and the game just goes out of control. I thought the game plan was totally wrong from the start, and these guys know more about football than me. I'm just hot take radio guy who's consuming this thing. But listen, it's like they listened to you last week saying that Texas Tech is the dang Houston Texans, that it's an NFL team, and heaven help you, you're lucky to be on the same field. They game plan scared.
I totally disagree. I thought BYU came out, and actually the desperation I saw was on the opening drive, which is why on their first drive they spent 2 timeouts and ran 2 trick plays. There's nothing conservative about that At all.
It's the way that they did it. The trick play is exactly what I'm talking about. Throw the ball downfield. Don't do some trick garbage. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
They don't trust Bear Bachmeier to be able to do that because he didn't do it. And when he did do it in the second half, it was Russell Westbrook hucking threes because he was awful in the second half.
Yeah, because Texas Tech pinned their ears back and they knew exactly what was coming because the game was spiraling.
But they would have done that in the first half, too. I mean, they would have gladly done that on the opening drive. Absolutely. It's the best defense in college football this year. That defensive line's insane.
That was not.
And they're going to do it to whoever they play next as well. This is a Texas Tech issue because they're truly awesome defensively. They are awesome defensively.
It was not a game plan that was going to give BYU a chance to win. It was not.
But I also believe, and this is what we talked about, that over the last 3 weeks, BYU's best player has been LJ Martin, and they wanted to find a way to get him involved in the game, and they know you can't run between the tackles against Texas Tech. So, yeah, they put him in the screen game, which I thought was really smart. They found ways to get him involved in in the game, in space, and he was really effective that first drive. But
first drive.
Yeah, I felt terrible watching that first drive because it did feel so desperate to me that I thought, BYU is pulling out all of the stops for their first drive, which is obviously scripted. You can script your first drive. And that's what they did. And it resulted in 7, but it did take everything they had. And it was a real red flag to me that they needed to do all that to score. But it makes sense why. Because they didn't score the rest of the game. And they didn't feel like they could score against Texas Tech at all. And they didn't. They've had 2 drives that resulted in points against Texas Tech all season. One of them was in the fourth quarter of a game that they were down, 26-0 at that point. And then this one was, we're going to throw absolutely everything we have at it. And then after that, they couldn't move the ball. I mean, I think the offensive coordinator, A-Rod, and the offensive side and the staff in general recognized they weren't going to be able to move the ball against this team, and they didn't.
Yeah, gave up. They gave up. Good for them. They didn't even give it a chance to win. I'm taught all the cute stuff is exactly what I'm talking about. They tried everything except for be aggressive and throw it downfield. Remember that you're BYU. I don't care about the trick plays. That was whatever. The cute stuff wasn't going to win them the game. What are they going to do? Do that the whole game? They score on one drive and then they think the game's over?
But they recognize they weren't going to be able to move the ball.
Look at the subsequent. So give up, so stop, so don't let them do it? I mean, you don't let them throw it until the game is basically over? I mean, it made no sense. And then look at the next drive. So they had to get all sorts of cute, and then all they do is run. I mean,
they threw it on second down their second drive as well.
With a screen.
But yeah, they're trying to get their guys involved. They are trying to get their guys involved in space.
You hear Justice Palmer say it on the broadcast. That's just an extension of the run game, because it is. Coll, let Parker Kingston beat his guy and throw it to him. I don't understand. Let the bear eat. It doesn't make any sense. And that was not what they did on the first drive.
Well, it makes sense if you don't think they can do it. And they clearly don't think they can do it.
They weren't going to win otherwise. You said it correctly last week that they had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose. So why game plan like you do? We all knew the committee was going to screw them, and they did screw them. And BYU got screwed worse than Notre Dame did, even though Notre Dame's taken home all of the headlines. They had a better resume, and it's unfair that championship game was counted against BYU. So
BYU wasn't in the first place. BYU wasn't in going into the game.
And that's unfair, and it's ridiculous. And their resume was better going into that game than Notre Dame and Miami and all these other teams that are being considered. And then that game was held against them, which is unfair. But we can talk about that or debate that later on in the show. The game itself for BYU, I thought the mistake was they didn't play like a team that had nothing to lose. They didn't. They did in a weird, tricky, ticklish way that was never going to work. So if that was the game plan going in.
It did work, right? The first drive did work. It was the only thing that worked.
You have to play 4 quarters. I told you that they had to get to 30 points to win that game. And honestly, if the offense got them to 30, I doubt Texas Tech gets to 34. Because things are going, the momentum is different, and the desperation doesn't set in. They never gave themselves a chance. Utah jumped on Alabama and put the gas pedal down. That's what they had to do to beat a superior opponent, not play with this weird 2 timeout. You're right, ticklish, that's never going to work. So if that's the game plan, what are you doing? And running LJ Martin was not going to work. And, we got to get the ball in the offensive MVP's hands. Well, you know what? You're playing right into Texas Tech's hands. You're going into the belly of the beast. Pickett's charge is what I brought up. That's what they did. That was the game plan. Why? That's wrong. BYU didn't give themselves a chance in that game. I don't think. And they put their freshman in a bad position. If he's going to throw it away, let him throw it away in the second quarter. Don't put him on razor's edge, and then all of a sudden the game spins out of control on him. That stinks.
BYU's best offensive player was L.J. Martin, 19 carries, 76 yards, and was effective in the passing game, 7 catches for 31 yards. He had the only touchdown. And I think they did try to establish their identity, and that is what teams do. Teams don't go away from their identity.
Yeah, and that's why Bronco lost to TCU by 30 back in the day, and he comes out after the game and he said, well, we were going to stick to our game plan and do our thing. Well, you took a huge L, and that was a big mistake. Honestly, that's my opinion. I talked about it all week. I'm not going to come off it and let him off the hook by saying, like, oh, well, that was a cute first drive. There's 4 quarters you got to play. And I get it. Maybe does the Bear suck in practice? Is this what we're coming down to? The Bear sucks in practice, so they're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna throw it downfield."
I don't think they trust him to throw the ball against really good defenses.
That's my point. Like, is that the thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, right? So they recognize behind the scenes that when he's facing these types of pressures or these types of defenses, he can't complete these throws.
Cam Rising sucked behind the scenes, too, and then he went out and beat USC. I mean, because they gave him a chance to. Because they didn't have any other choice. Utah was like, okay, we got to sling it on Stinkin's defense because they're soft as pudding, and that's the way we got to win this game. So all of a sudden, Kyle Whittingham turns into Mike Leach. They didn't want to start Cam Rising for 2 years, and then he went out and did it when he was given the opportunity. I don't think the Bear was given the opportunity. I don't think that game plan was never going to beat Texas Tech. It wasn't.
I don't know if BYU had the talent to beat Texas Tech, is the truth. I don't think this is a game plan issue.
We'll never know. I think it was a huge game plan issue.
I mean, we saw them twice, and they didn't really compete
either. They played the same game twice, though. They didn't adjust at all. That is my point.
And I think this is where I trust coaches, and A-Rod has done a fabulous job this year, especially with Bear Bachmeier, that he knows what he's looking at, he knows what he's going up against in these.
Why did Georgia smash Alabama? Because they learned from the stupid loss, and then they went out with a different game plan and beat another playoff team. I mean, they did the same thing, the same game plan. It's the definition of madness.
I don't agree with that. They didn't do the same thing. They had the same result, but I don't think they did the same thing. And again, they went out with this opening drive, which was ultra aggressive. They tried to get up on Texas Tech early and then see if they could count on their defense, which is the best part of their team. And they couldn't. The defense couldn't do it either. And then when they did need to throw the ball, because you're right, they got to that point in the second half, they couldn't. And Bear Bachmeier had, 3 fumbles? He lost one of them. He had 2 interceptions. There's a problem there. That was a talent problem against Texas
Tech. Like the fumble was on this cute guard pull, fake handoff garbage that.
But that's also how Kalani wins. Kalani has won games that way throughout his career at BYU.
He was never going to win this one like this.
You've talked about this with Cam Rising before, is you've got to let Cam Rising go out and be Cam Rising. You can't all of a sudden make him conservative. The way BYU has gotten to where they are right now is by being aggressive, by calling trick plays, by having great special teams and trick plays on special teams. All this cute stuff that you're dismissing is why BYU is where it is right now. I mean, that's what Kalani has done very well. You can't throw that out now and say you got to completely change your game plan. I think that's completely wrong.
It wasn't going to win.
Yeah, it didn't. And I don't know if BYU had a chance to win this game anyways, and I also said that all last week. I just didn't think BYU was going to be able to compete with Texas Tech. I didn't really see the game plan for them to get out there and get the victory, and one of the reasons is because what we did see. When they did try and go out there and throw the ball, they couldn't against Texas Tech because, and it does have to do with the fact that Bear Bachmeier was hurt and obviously was very immobile by the time they were going into the locker room at halftime, but yeah, I just don't think they have that type of offense. They're not designed to play against a team this good. And Texas Tech is legitimately very good. They have earned this bye week in the first round of the playoff because they are one of the 4 best teams in the country. They might be in the national championship game. That wouldn't shock anybody. It shouldn't if you watched how they played this year.
I'm trying to look. I think Bears long from a pass completion standpoint in the first half was... He had, of course, that completion to Chase at the very beginning, which was 18 yards. Mm-hmm. After that, Ben, they hit a 22-yarder on the first drive to Parker Kingston. But that was a play to Parker, and then he made it, right?
Yeah, it was cutting across the middle. It was actually a great throw from Bear.
After that, 8-yard pass was as long in the first half.
It was on that first drive that he got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, then don't play him.
Actually, I'm glad you bring that up. That was one of the strong thoughts that we were getting in our post-game show, people leaving comments. A lot of people were wondering why Bear wasn't benched in favor of McKay Hillstead if Bear was hurt.
McKay hasn't played all year. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. If the ankle is going to lose you a game, then don't play him.
No, they didn't lose because of Bear's ankle.
So, I don't know. I didn't think the game plan was going to win. So, and it didn't. But it was no different than the first time.
I don't know if going out and asking Bear to throw the ball 35 times against this defense would have been a winning.
Do it at the beginning. Jump on them. Don't jump on them.
They were up 7-0. What else can they do? They had a perfect first drive. They went 7 minutes. They scored 7 points. They had to do everything they could to get there, and they couldn't replicate it the rest of the game. 7
minutes is the problem. That's not what we're talking about, and that's not jumping on them. And it's so long. And you said yourself 2 timeouts.
Yeah, it was desperate. They were absolutely desperate. They had to score there.
Go out and sling it.
That's desperate. That's the definition of desperate. Changing your entire game plan to go out and throw the ball 35 times against Texas Tech is the definition of desperate. Well, that's the definition of going away from everything you do and doing well and having your identity.
They needed to go away from what they do, if that's it. They did. They needed to pretend like they didn't have a freshman quarterback. Then they did not do that. That's not how they played.
I think we agree on that. Clearly, they don't believe that they have the ability to play that way and win.
Well, they needed to pretend. To give themselves a chance to win, they needed to pretend because they had it all on the line. All right, we've got top 3 stories of the day coming up next. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Ben, your uncle, 801 Sports on the Snap Talk, snaps in real quick. Says BYU should have just played like 2019 LSU, and they would have beat Tech. Tech is just better than BYU everywhere. They weren't going to win that game and would have lost even worse if they just threw it around like a Mike Leach offense. Totally agree with Ben. You're more than welcome to agree with Ben, which is fine. But that's not what I said. I did not say they would have beaten Tech. I said they didn't give themselves a chance, in my opinion, which I think
it's a fair argument.
I still agree with me. And then he says they weren't going to win that game and would have lost even worse if they just threw it around like a Mike Leach offense. Well, okay. That's how they game planned.
Well,
they game plan like they agree with you. And then I'm not talking about Mike Leach offense. In fact, I'm not talking about that at all. Your LSU comparison was way better. Mike Leach's offense was full of cute little passes and screens and cute little stuff. That's not what I'm talking about, actually. I'm talking about throwing it downfield. I'm talking about more pro style, if anything. I'm talking about let your receivers go downfield and make a play. That's what I'm talking about. So,
and to your point, if you were going to lose anyways, if you knew you were going to lose this way, why play that way?
Why?
Yeah.
That's my entire point. Just wanted to clarify. 801 Sports, Ben's uncle. You have yourself a fine day. All right. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Fellas, I hope you like these 3 things. Pop Tarts, Las Vegas, and Idaho Potatoes.
I like 2 of those things.
Which ones?
I've never been wild about Pop Tarts.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just not a breakfast person to begin with, let alone just a sugar blast right to the system.
I like them because my son will make them in the morning for himself, so I don't have to get up.
I get that.
And feed him.
Hey,
he feeds himself.
Ollie, knock yourself out, bro.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Thank you. Cinnamon roll Pop Tarts. Record-wise, performance-wise this season, Georgia Tech is a cool opponent for BYU. Orlando is always a fan favorite for Cougars fans. You go and hang out at Disney World and catch this game. I do, think Nebraska obviously has a bigger name historically when it comes to college football, and getting it in Vegas does simplify some options for Utah fans. So while I think a 7-5 Nebraska team, certainly nothing to write home about, I think some Utah fans can feel happy about that draw. And I'll be curious about BYU Georgia Tech, even though the entire conversation around this game is that it was supposed to be Notre Dame, and Notre Dame backed out.
All right. Where to start? I'll start with the Aggies. They should be stoked. Awesome. A future conference foe in a drivable location. Utah State hadn't been to a bowl in a while.
Cool game.
Go crazy.
Yeah, very cool game.
I hope that turns into Logan North. Utah should be thrilled. Vegas is a great destination. Ute fans can go do New Year's in Vegas. Which, Christian, have you done New Year's in Vegas?
I have. It's very cool.
It's way cool. It's super fun, and that venue is super cool. I think Nebraska is actually a sneaky, interesting opponent because I think their coach, Matt Rule, is pretty sharp, and he's interesting. I think Nebraska could be on the come.
Yep.
You never know.
Yeah.
And it's an opponent that you never really see. I think those are always the most interesting bowl opponents.
You get credit for beating Nebraska. People care if you beat Nebraska, even if Nebraska stinks.
I actually think that works out pretty dang well for the Utes. Maybe you would have rather had USC, and instead they get, USC and TCU in the Alamo Bowl, which is weird. I mean, but anywho, Utah-Nebraska I think is pretty good. As far as BYU, I think they got the mother of all shafts. I think they got the shaft from the playoff committee. I think they got the shaft as far as bowl destination. It's a million years away. They're playing against an uninteresting opponent from a dang terrible conference. Now,
that's a 4-hour drive from where they play.
Notre Dame
Yeah.
would have been a compelling opponent.
Great opponent, yeah, of course.
It would have been a compelling opponent, but they're so soft and have their feelings hurt so very badly that they couldn't possibly be expected to suit up one more time. I mean, far be it from us to expect a college football team to play in a bowl game, Ben. I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, my Lanta, I wouldn't want you to get off the couch. And I heard an interview with their AD, and the garbage that he was spewing about it. I mean, his feelings are hurt so badly. I think it's so sad for the Cougs. It sucks. I hope they take the team to Disneyland because that's all they're getting out of this.
It is a rotten return, and that's no offense to Georgia Tech, who has had a very good season.
It's much offense to Georgia Tech. They're not in BYU's league. I don't care what kind of run they went on, and now BYU's going to play against an inferior opponent, and if they happen to lose, it's going to be because they don't give a what.
Yeah, they probably – I mean, BYU prepares for games well. I mean,
yeah, you would expect so, but, you know –
Georgia Tech gave Georgia a pretty good run in their last game. It's a rivalry game, and they kept it to a one-score game. So we'll see. I don't think this is a pushover win for BYU, and certainly much closer to home for Georgia Tech. We'll see if their fans show up. We know BYU fans will. But, yeah, compared to what it could have been, which it was never going to be the playoff unless you won the championship game, and that's not to let anybody off the hook other than we've been telling you for, since week 8 that they make it up as they go, and they reinforce that in the final week with all the changes that they made at the last minute and who gets judged for what and who doesn't get judged for what and why one team would jump another for no reason despite the fact that they weren't playing. And again, we can talk about that more in the next hour. But BYU wasn't going to be in. They ended up having an opportunity to have a cool draw. Notre Dame ruined that. And it's going to result in a good season, not a great season, despite the fact that it's one of the better that BYU's had, certainly in the last 25 years. And maybe the best.
As far as destinations go, that's a conference city. You can go to Orlando anytime.
Yeah, you can. Fans go to Orlando somewhat often.
The next time BYU plays UCF in Orlando, you
Agreed.
Get the family together instead of flying to see a truly uninteresting game against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it's far less than ideal. The best part of the bowl game, unfortunately, is the silly mascot. I mean, it's what it's gotten famous for. The same way the Mayo Bowl had that going for it. It's far from ideal. And that was always going to be the case. And I know the bowl committee is different than the college football playoff committee, but, they tried to set it up with Notre Dame. Notre Dame backed out. What are you going to do? Kansas State's not playing in a bowl game. Iowa State's not playing in a bowl game. This is a taste of the beginning. Not, this is what is to come. This is not, the ending of anything.
Utah has played Georgia Tech twice in bowl games in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And both those games were far more interesting. One had Eric Weddle v. Calvin Johnson. Mm-hmm. and the other was in the Sun Bowl when Utah had scrapped their way in their first year in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
This is just...
it feels like a consolation.
That's terrible.
Yep.
It's terrible. What's next?
Number 2, the Jazz had a very, and I can't emphasize this enough, a very weird game yesterday against Oklahoma City.
Why weird?
The whole stuff with the shot clock and the smoke.
Oh, okay. That stuff was weird.
All this crazy stuff happening.
It was strange. It was weird to be in the arena. Jazz were down 10-1 as soon as the game started. First of all, there was the fact that the Thunder at least considered tanking against the Jazz by sitting every player on their roster.
Every player but 2.
Every player but 2, and those 2 are good enough to beat the Jazz.
Jalen
Williams
important.
and Chet Holmgren, combined for 50 points. And the Jazz countered or also had Larry Markkinen sick, so the Jazz didn't really go into that game with much of a chance to win because they were missing their best player as well. And the Thunder made extraordinarily short work of the Jazz and were up 10-1, and then we're up 43-15, and the game was truly over basically before it started. And then, yes, really from the opening tip, it just didn't get a whole lot of attention. The fog machine behind the Thunder basket was going off intermittently throughout the first half, and then really just had a mind of its own in the second quarter. And it was hilarious because it also coincided with another Thunder run, including an alley-oop. If you missed it, go check it out at our Instagram page at KSL Sports. And once they got that fixed and you thought, okay, things are fine, they go into halftime, they come out, and a minute into the third quarter, the clock shut down, and they try for 10 minutes to get it back and working in a painful delay of a game that was basically over already, only to decide that, we can't fix it. We're going to have to just call out the times via Mark Demon, the PA announcer.
Okay, I can give this take because I know the... not everybody. I know a lot of the arena staff over there and how great they are at their jobs and what they do. But have you ever had that mess up, Ben, where the boss is aware and becomes involved? Like,
yes.
One of my first times producing, I left a mic up during the break, and the president of the Dane company called down to the studio, and it's like,
that's bad.
Did you see our guy Jim Olsen out there on the court during all that?
The clock manager's right next to Ryan Smith.
Yeah, because Jim's the president. And by the way, Jim's background, he's got a lot of different stuff in his background, but one is the arena. He was president of the arena for a long time. And and I've been there before where, oh man, Jim's coming over. Oh no, we got to get this thing working stat. But what a bizarre thing.
It was weird, and the game stunk. The Jazz just played extremely poorly. There's a clip circulating of Will Hardy unhappy with his team's defensive effort. I would tell fans I think that's probably less unique than they think. Yeah, you don't get that on film all the time, but if you watch it, they go to commercial break. But, if you're ever at a game, you can see Will laying into his team pretty regularly, or individuals as they walk off the court. Will has not been terrifically happy this season, especially with the defensive effort.
I don't think he cares about the loss, though. The fact that they lost to the Thunder last night, I don't think that's why his...
Agreed.
I don't know, how do we want to put it?
His wrath?
His blood was up?
Yeah. And then, you know what? I asked him after the game, I said, you only played Isaiah Collier and Bryce Sensabaugh 6 minutes each. What do you need to see? And he said effort and execution. And they didn't play well enough, and they're nice guys, and he likes coaching them, but the only way you can punish guys truly in the NBA is through minutes, and if they're not going to do the things I need them to do, they're not going to get minutes. Which went with Walt Clayton, and Walt was great.
I told him to his face. I love how frank he is in his media stuff, and that was a great quote from yesterday. I think he's allergic to dogging it.
Will?
Mm-hmm.
I think
he's got a dogging it allergy where he just can't watch people dog it out there. He's just not going to do it. And they got blitzed out of the gate. And, standards weren't being met by several players, I would believe. And I think that frustrates. And then you put in somebody like Walt Clayton who's like, sure, I'll take the minutes. Why not?
And played great.
And that sends a message in and of its own.
I think it's also really hard that they've had to dog it the second half of the season, each of the last 3 years, and really all of last year, and then to feel like you've got to pull it back. And if guys start to show those signs again that they're not going out there and giving their best focus or effort, you've got to get on them. You've got to nip that in the bud, and he has tried to do that, and we'll see how much it's possible. Sometimes you have the wrong players.
I found it interesting that Keontae George was asked in the postgame about Isaiah and Bryce getting benched. And he said, I've been benched before, and he gave an interesting answer. But I kind of thought, well, I didn't see you gutting out 35 minutes out there. I mean, I don't know. I kind of thought it was more of a group effort than just singling out a couple of guys, and I found it interesting that he wasn't asked about his own performance.
Yeah.
But that of them. But I'm not downstairs and in the line of fire with the writers. But I'm not so sure that message was just about those two guys specifically.
Agreed.
And so, yeah, I mean, it got to be better. There's no doubt. I mean, Oklahoma City was scoring at a historic pace. They hit the most threes in the first quarter of any other first quarter played in the NBA this year.
11 first quarter threes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So you're just going to get out there and dog it and give them open threes all day. I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you rather have Will coaching than pulling a BYU and giving up?
Yeah, you want Will coaching. I'm not going to co-sign with what you said about BYU's coaches, but that's fine.
I don't think Will wants to game plan scared of the Thunder. I think he'd really like to go take it to him. That's all. Next.
Number 3, this just in, Utah Mammoth star Logan Cooley is out indefinitely with a lower body injury.
So Logan didn't play in the last game, right? And the game before that, he had come back from this knee injury and what they'd called, a stinger or a Charlie horse. He'd gone knee to knee and was out for the rest of that game, and then played the game after that. And on a fast break, he kind of got tripped and fell into the net and hit the goalpost with his knee again, and kind of had to be helped off the ice. And you kind of didn't know if he was going to come back or what. And now apparently he's out indefinitely. We'll see what that means. I don't know.
Well, it's not good.
Is that a week? Is that a month? Is that surgery? We have no idea.
It's indefinite.
Yeah, it's indefinite. I can't definitely say anything.
Okay, here's a hot take for you. And maybe I can have this hot take because I'm not a gambler. Let's just get rid of it. All of it. No more injury reports. You have to look through your binoculars down onto the bench to see who's playing.
Who's going to play or not?
Not my problem. Let's go the Kyle Whittingham route. Let's just get rid of it altogether. If you're going to say lower leg injury and he might be back this decade, I mean, what's the point?
Hockey does that more than anybody. They love lower body or upper body with zero definition of what happens.
So,
yeah, I'm with you.
You either tell me, give me some sort of expectation when he's going to be back or don't, and I'll pay attention game to game because I'm tired in all sports of talking about, well, little Timmy spent his last $250 to see Kawhi Leonard play. I feel terrible for little Timmy, but it's a new world.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned.
Mammoth shut out by the Flames in that game, by the way. They really missed him.
We will have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Shame on you two. You guys are basketball guys, I know. And I don't like to get upset with you guys because you guys are freaking amazing. But the play right before BYU's first touchdown, they gator rolled the ankle of Bear Bachmeier, and he was not the same person since. He couldn't plant when he threw. He was jump hopping. Were you guys watching the game? Were you watching the game? The game plan completely changed. Coaches failed because they didn't give McKay Hillstead at least a series to see if he can get a spark going. That's where they failed. Bear Bachmeier was a skeleton of himself. So, yes, they went back to the same game plan. Wake up, fellas. I mean, really, wake up. Go watch the game. Play right before the first touchdown of BYU. They roll Bachmeier. They roll him. He was burning it up that whole series. The rest of the game, he looked like grandma because he was hurt. Wake up.
Oh, man, that was great. Who was that? Days C? That's what he signed in on. Hey, we love you, Days C. No problem.
We did acknowledge that he got hurt.
Yeah,
I would never have gone to McKay Hillstead in that game unless there was a broken bone on Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah, and you said that. But I thought the same thing about Devin Dampier in the Ute game. Like, if you can't get it done, then you got to try something else. And I don't know, maybe that something else is so bad that you wouldn't possibly want to go to it. The Witt didn't move off Jake Bentley until he absolutely had to. I don't know. Maybe it was a no-win situation.
I just disagree that Bear was awesome on that first drive. He was fine. He was good.
I didn't think that first drive was about Bear.
No, it was not a Bear drive.
I actually think it needed to be. Maybe that boils down my point. Is even the successful drive wasn't a Bear drive. They needed Bear drives.
And you're right. They weren't attacking down the field all that significantly. I think he had one 10-yard scramble in that series.
Even his interceptions weren't really going down the field. I mean, and that linebacker had a heck of a game. I guess you got to tip your
they're awesome.
Tip your hat to him certainly. But I mean, I didn't like it. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't think what they did what they needed to do to win. And you know what? Maybe if they did, they could have lost by 50. I don't know. But I don't think they give themselves a chance. I don't.
And the problem was even on Bear's 10-yard scamper, if I remember, he got absolutely laid out. I mean, that Texas Tech, it was funny. We were talking about, BYU land heavy. Don't be afraid to land heavy if you get to Bear and Morton. Though that was what Texas Tech did. They were out to abuse BYU's team. And Carson Ryan took a huge shot. I think it was on that opening drive as well. It was early in the game. They were out there to hurt BYU. They were out there to beat up BYU, Bear Bachmeier included. So the fact that it did happen is, the issue of, we've been calling Bear a Terminator all year because he just seems to be unkillable. You can only take so many hits. We learned that from Taysom Hill. We've learned that from every quarterback who likes to get out there and run the ball. You get hit, you get beat up, you get rolled up on. When you like to hold on to the ball, you're going to get hurt, whether it's a passing play or not. So I do think, unfortunately, that was a style of play issue also for BYU.
All right, stay tuned. We'll unfortunately dive more into the college football playoff situation. Coll, you know what? We had a sport I loved once. I really did. I was a real college football fan.
At least there's something to talk about. It's not good.
But today,
the game's not good.
I am not.
I was happy to be a college football fan.
I was happy to be a college football fan. Fast forward 20 years, and today, I am not.
Man, it's felt like 4 to me. It's been quick.
Stay tuned. We'll have more on that coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hanson Scotty coming up on Wednesday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Ben, the college football playoff bracket is out. And yes, I do believe that BYU got the shaft. And we can talk about that. You were right. Nobody thought that they would lose and get in. I think even if they lost close, I don't think they would have gotten in. I think they were set up to do this because this is what the committee wants. That doesn't justify anything, in my opinion. I think the compare resumes game is silly because they don't really even mean it when they play it. But worst case scenario happened for the playoff committee, and they still justified doing what they wanted.
Exactly what you said couldn't happen, which is Duke winning the ACC title game, meaning that they had to bring in 2 G5 schools to play in this, which was the worst thing they wanted. And it came at the cost of Notre Dame, who gets to operate independently because of their loose connection to the ACC. Now they can they're throwing the ACC under the bus for not putting them over Miami, even though they lost to Miami head-to-head. But yet, what you warned of happening last week was that if JMU, James Madison, and Tulane get in,
or win
and get into the college football playoff.
Because Duke beats UVA.
We're
ACC.
going to get rid of the automatic qualifier in general. And Big 12 fans, that's bad for you.
Yes, it is.
That's only bad for you and the ACC. Because as soon as they recognize, we don't want anyone getting automatically qualified, because now we can sell this as, well, ACC, it would have been better for you to not have automatic qualifiers because James Madison would be out and Tulane would be out and Miami would be in and Notre Dame would be in. And you get represented by 1.5 schools, however you view Notre Dame. But you would have that representation, and now you don't. And they are going to use this to justify a new rule change, which allows them to put in whoever they want to fill out the 12-person bracket. And who's going to make it? It's going to be all the SEC schools and all the Big Ten schools they can get, because it's better TV. And it's bad for the Big 12, and it's bad for the ACC, but it's good for the sponsors. It's good for the mouse, and the mouse loves it.
It's good for the mouse, Ben. It is good for the mouse. You hit that.
Boy.
You hear the You hear it already. I can't tell you. I saw at least half a dozen college football media people putting it out already. Can't have the qualifiers anymore.
Yep,
Can't do
absolutely.
it. Can't do it
Because no one's going to watch James Madison. No one's going to watch Tulane.
It was the worst case scenario. It was, well, the dream team was pretty cool. Christian Laettner actually didn't need to be there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they put Christian on there to kind of put their toe in the water, like, oh, we still kind of have an amateur on. Yeah. And then you figure out, okay, well, the amateur then goes. Yeah. No, getting rid of automatic qualifying is terrible for anybody not in the SEC or the Big Ten. Because, no, they wouldn't be including Miami and Notre Dame. They'd be including Texas and Vanderbilt.
100%. That's maybe BYU, but no guarantee.
No Big 12. I mean, ESPN is half into the Big 12. Uh-huh. ESPN, see, the point I was getting at is worst case scenario happened and they justified what they wanted anyway at the expense of Notre Dame, which is hilarious. But remind me who Notre Dame's TV contract is with.
NBC.
You don't think the Mouse has been asking for that TV deal for decades?
Right.
But no, they've stuck it out with NBC. Mouse probably would have given them whatever they want. No, they're sticking it out with NBC. So, yeah, I'm sure the Mouse loves Notre Dame to a point. The Mouse was never going to let the ACC go unrepresented. It was never going to happen. They're 100% in on the Atlantic Coast contract with the worst TV deal in history, but it lasts till 2035. Uh-huh. The Mouse was never going to let the ACC go unrepresented, and they did it at the expense of Notre Dame. It truly was a Sophie's choice, but you know what? They don't have the rights to Notre Dame.
Yep.
They have the rights to the ACC. The AC, I'm sure, who's the ACC's commissioner now? I'm sure that guy was in the Mouse's ear 24/7, being like, dude, you're not gonna screw us out of a bid. You're putting Miami in. And that's what they did. They justified they had that justification in their pocket forever. So why did they rank Notre Dame ahead of Miami? Because they thought UVA was going to beat Duke. They could slight Miami and they could include Notre Dame. Yep. But Duke beats UVA. Yep. The ACC's left out in the cold and they're like,
our hands are tied.
We're not going to leave our guy in the wind. We're taking the ACC team. Sorry, Notre Dame. And evidence to this, Ben, is how butthurt Notre Dame is that they're not even going to go to a bowl because who owns the Pop Tart Bowl? The dang Mouse. So Notre Dame's going, oh, you don't want us in your big TV show. Well, we're not doing any TV for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any Irish bump on any of your bowl games because we're not going to do it. Have a nice day. Is BYU boycotting a bowl? No. Anyway, let me play this clip, which I thought was interesting. The whole Tim Brando interview was interesting, and he said other things other than this, but I thought that this was pretty telling. So this is just a short, what is it, Christian, minute and a half long from Tim Brando of Fox when he joined DJ and PK talking about the college football playoff last week.
College football, by far and away, is more popular than the NBA and Major League Baseball, and yet it is the fifth most compensated sport in America. It's fifth. So there's a lot of money being left on the table. Why do you suppose that is? Because when contracts like the college football playoff come up, these curmudgeons that govern it will have a wink and a nod and say, let's just do this. We won't even put it up for bid, and no one will say a damn thing. Well, guess what? I'm the mouth that roared from the South and will say it. It's wrong, okay? It's absolutely wrong. And if you took them to court, if you took the college football playoff to court and said this is absolutely not in keeping with how America should do its television contracts, okay, it should be making more money than it currently is. And it would. And more of America would understand that if, like the NFL, all of the networks had a piece of the pie.
So what he's implying is, and he says, he alludes to this later too, but is the college football playoff is not coming up for a bid. ESPN's doing that on purpose. They're telling the college football playoff, we'll give you all of this and you let us have control over everything. And there's been battle between Fox and ESPN and CBS over all these leagues for years, and they used to share, and so it led to some cohesion, and now it's one versus the other, depending on what league that you're in, but what he said. So, do you know who Bill Hancock is?
Who's Bill Hancock?
He is the head of the college football playoff, the organization that actually governs this. Mm-hmm. It's not governed by the NCAA. Right. It's not governed by the conferences. It's governed by a random bozo named Bill Hancock, who was the head of, Ben, before? The BCS. And before that, he was the head of the Bowl Alliance. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who's just been putting dough in his pocket with an artificial, basically, job for decades. And I remember we had Andy Staples on when we went from the BCS to the college football playoff. And it was announced that Bill was going to keep his job, and it was just going to be the same people who ran the BCS running college football playoff. And I asked Andy Staples, I said, well, how can we expect something better when the same corrupt bozos who were running the previous system and are now running this system? Now, if you remember, what Bill and the BCS were doing was not only manipulating who got into the title game, but they were also, it was this corrupt ring of bowls that were taking these crazy junkets to like Jamaica and the Bahamas, and these guys are just living the dream over some artificial governance over college football for no good reason. So what do? They want to stay off the radar. We haven't heard from Bill Hancock since that day. Basically, he comes up and smiles on that stupid TV show, and that's all you see of that guy because he doesn't want to rock the boat because he's got a fake job. And he's putting all this money in his pocket. So he does this no-bid deal with the Mouse because the Mouse isn't going to rock the boat. The Mouse is stoked about it. So they take less money because these guys want to protect their jobs, basically. And so who controls the college football playoff committee? I mean, Mark Harlan might think he has a vote, or Ivan Maisel or whatever, but who tips the scales so they get what they want?
TV?
Specifically?
The Mouse.
The Mouse. That's how it works.
Yeah.
All right, now get out there and make me some money.
That I'm picturing the Mouse kicking in the door to the committee meeting yesterday and saying, what's this I'm hearing about you guys considering BYU or Notre Dame? What's this I'm hearing? Yeah, Duke screwed it up.
They did, yeah,
Duke
absolutely.
won the league.
It tied their hands to have to take JMU and Tulane, and they didn't want to take either of them, but their hands were tied.
And the Mouse said, since when does that matter to me? Who's our team? Who's our school? Miami? Yep. Put them in. Tell BYU they're lucky to have what we give them. We could have killed them a decade ago. Yep. Tell BYU to say thank you. I mean, that, like, people think they want to bend over backwards and justify this. Well, this team beat this, and this resume did this, and this resume did that. It does not matter at all. The only reason the ACC gives 4 bids to the Big Ten is because they basically have to keep any legitimacy. I mean, this is all a battle over money, and it's gross. And yeah, put it out for a bid. Have the well, it can't be the NCAA. Create something to run it. But what's going on right now is a dang joke. And if the idea is to have legitimacy, this is not it. And so now you're going to have people clamoring for reform, like make it even less fair, which is another cat in the wall.
Our clips have been all over our social media. Christian does a great job pulling them. Griffin does a great job pulling them. You've seen them on our Instagram page. I was not just trying to sound controversial when I said they make this up as they go. That I'm not lying to you about that.
No, they do. To justify what they want.
Just making it up as they go. And guess what? Now that Tulane and James Madison is in, they will make up the rules again next year. They will change the rules to get the teams that they do want in.
Oh, they're already doing it. Did you see that they're creating a new addendum that Notre Dame automatically gets in if they're top 12?
Has signed a contract that says they automatically get in beginning next year if they're top 12, and if it expands to 14, they get in if they're top 13. Yeah, they're automatically in, and it would have pushed Miami out this year. But again, yeah, they just make the rules up as they go to get the result that they want. So while you can say on this side of it that BYU got the short end of the stick, kind of, other than this is exactly how the system is designed to work.
Right.
It's functioning exactly the way it's supposed to. They're just lying to you by calling it a playoff to make you think you can earn your way in. You can't earn your way in. You cannot do it. The only way you can is if you win your conference championship, and that only matters if they ranked you high enough for your conference championship to matter, because it didn't for Duke. So they are making up the rules as they go. They want you to think that you can earn your way in, and you can't, because they want to control the big names and who gets to be out there. And yeah, BYU gets left out in the cold, and Utah gets left out in the cold. They had Notre Dame above Miami all year. They don't play. And at the last second, they say, we kind of like Miami here over Notre Dame. Why? Because they are making it up as they go. I've been telling you this. You've been telling the listeners this. We were not lying to you. It's fake. It's a TV show to get you to watch, to get you to argue, and then when push comes to shove, they can get the teams that they want and the names that they want in the show. And it's amazing. They've done a brilliant job of doing it, and people are going to watch. But it's fake. They're lying to you, and we've been telling you that, and you have the proof.
Do we have a problem?
Miami's getting in.
Miami's getting in.
Do we have a problem?
So I guess we have some issues.
But sir, we've had Notre Dame ahead of Miami all this time. How is that a problem? Do we have a problem?
If we're going to punish BYU for losing, certainly we have to punish Alabama for losing.
Nope.
No, we do not.
No, we certainly do not.
It's amazing.
We're sorry, Mr. Mouse.
It's a hilarious system. I feel bad because our listeners are the victims of the system. They are today. If you want to argue that BYU should have been in the top 12, you can. The only reason I'd argue against you is because you're arguing for a system that's not designed to do exactly what it's doing. That's the problem. That's why I would argue against you, is because as we have seen for years, it's designed to be this way. Unfortunately.
Do we have a problem?
So Alabama's in. It was amazing. It was amazing to watch Alabama. Absolutely. We said this term a lot, not get off the bus. They no-showed in that game. It was hilarious. And then yesterday morning, 10 a.m. our time, you could tune in and watch the college football playoff roll out, and everyone knew immediately with how they were ranking the teams, oh, they're not going to hammer Alabama in the slightest. And sure enough, number 9 didn't move. Number 9 coming in right away. Because Alabama's a huge name, and they love them. And everyone loves Alabama because they draw a lot of eyeballs. So they weren't going to get dinged at all. And BYU just doesn't move the needle the way they want them to.
No, well, I think it's just BYU's not there in the pecking order. And honestly,
100%.
With the Big 12 split between ESPN and Fox, ESPN just isn't as invested in the Big 12 as they are the other league. That is true.
Absolutely right.
You can't turn on the dang TV. I think you turn on basically like the Discovery Channel, and you're going to find ACC basketball because they are full partners with that league, 100%.
It's so funny because of how easily, if they wanted BYU, how easily could they have sold it? I mean, it wouldn't have taken any trouble.
No.
You would have said, oh, guys, they were undefeated except for they lost to the top 4 team twice. Otherwise, they were undefeated this season. They were incredible.
And we're not going to punish them for losing in the conference title game, just like Alabama. So
the first time they played.
So Notre Dame and Miami are both out because BYU's got a better resume.
You could have so easily made that argument. They didn't want BYU there. No. They didn't. End of story.
It was more they wanted those other two schools.
They wanted the other schools
which is
there.
that really is the point. And then they had to decide between Miami and Notre Dame, and they picked the school they're invested in. Period.
Yeah.
They picked the league they're invested in.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
All right, now get out there and make me some money.
100%. And it works. They do a great job because they make a ton of money and they draw a ton of eyeballs and they get a lot of conversation.
But it's funny because they don't even prioritize the money, though, which was absolutely Tim Brando's point. Is they shouldn't be 5th in revenue if they're 2nd in the sports pecking order. That's bad management. Any other commissioner would be fired for something like that.
But they know who does make the decisions, which is the teams, and the teams funneled by the conferences that they want to support.
NCAA college sport, I don't know what they call it, the collective colleges or whatever, they have lost control of their own sport. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't have any legitimacy. It's absolutely a reality TV show. And the little specks of legitimacy, like automatic qualifying bids, where they're trying to at least pretend that they're being fair, slowly go by the wayside as they slowly win the PR battle that they started in 1985.
Yeah, the only argument, I guess, would be slowly, because they will get rid of you as soon as it's inconvenient. As soon as you're inconvenient, Tulane and JMU, you're gone. They are going to find a way to get rid of you.
No, BYU wins the national championship in 1984, and that sparks, wait, what? That can't happen ever again.
Yep.
Not one of the club is taking home our national title? Absolutely not. So what do we have to do? And the process has been painstakingly slow. But it's 2025, and we have the absolute Wild West with television networks running the show who do not care about college athletics. And athletes and all of that don't care at all about the experience. They don't care at all about fairness. They don't care at all about compliance. None of it.
Oh, the funniest thing is that they label it a playoff because it is a bracket. So they call it a playoff. But in basically every other sport, I'm sure you could bring it up to me if there's another one that's corrupt like this, but you actually have to earn your way in.
Oh,
you actually have to get into the NBA playoffs, and they let everybody in, but you actually have to get into the NFL playoffs or the NHL playoffs or Major League Baseball, where it was almost impossible to get in for a very long time. You actually have to earn your way in. This is literally just a group of people that picks who's in. I mean, it's not a playoff. There's no earning your way in. They're just going to pick and choose who they want. If they wanted to ding Texas Tech and put them and say, well, we didn't think you were one of the actually best teams to win your conference championship, they could have left them out if they wanted to and could have put Tulane or James Madison or Duke over them. They could have actually picked that, which is why, as silly as it was when they said, oh, if you win this game, you have a 99.9% chance of getting in. The 0.1% chance is they didn't have to pick you if they didn't want to. There is the human element where they can do whatever they want.
Well, in the future, anywho. Because they would have gotten the automatic bid if they would have won.
BYU.
Yeah.
Yes. But only because they had ranked them in the previous 6 weeks where they didn't have to rank any of these teams where they did. Yeah. That's the other myth. You didn't earn that ranking. They chose to give you that ranking because it's what they wanted to make up. The same reason Notre Dame and Miami and Alabama, they chose to rank them above BYU, not based on their schedule, not based on anything tangible, nothing real, just by their decision because of the name value and what they thought it would do for their rankings.
And who they work for.
End of story.
And did you see the commissioner of the SEC said, well, we should get 7 teams in. I mean, the ink wasn't even dry on the dang bracket.
Teams.
And he's like, so we should be having 7 teams.
And you know what? He's on the call with whoever at the mouse he needs to make sure that next year they're looking out for the 7th team in the SEC.
Because they are 1,000% invested in the SEC. It's their second best product.
It's good for business.
It's the second best product at ESPN is the Southeastern Conference.
Yep.
The might of the mouse himself is in their corner. And to a lesser extent, the ACC. I mean, what a joke of a league. Honestly, a joke of a league. Duke won their conference championship game with a, 7-5 record?
Mm-hmm.
Joke.
Yeah, a joke. 8-5, but yeah, they were 7-5 going into the conference.
You give them that league the benefit of the doubt. Have you looked at who Miami lost to and who they beat? They beat Notre Dame, and that's it.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
They lost to Louisville, and who was their other conference loss? It sucked too. So, if you're looking for justice, this what makes me, and maybe we bring this full circle here. This what bothers me about these combos where I hear people going, but this resume and this resume. Those people want justice. They want justice.
Of course.
They want fairness. They want fairness and they want justice. We want what we deserve for our season within the rules. They want fairness and justice. And college football doesn't care about either anymore. Doesn't care about either.
It's not a just system, and it's not designed to reward justice or fairness. That's not what the system is designed for. That's what I think we've been trying to get across is the system is not failing. It's not designed to do what you think.
It's not their goal.
But they lie and they call it a playoff to make you think that's what it is. And that's not what the design of the system is.
No. Because what we used to have is what we have in almost every sport or did, is that we have some sort of regional grouping that expands into some sort of other regional grouping that then files into some sort of tournament. I mean, if you want to think about the Little League World Series, you have your state tournament, and then you have your regional tournament, and then you have your other regional tournament, bigger regional tournament, and then the winners of those go to the Little League World Series. Now, there's probably some team in California that goes, there's way more better teams in California. This is unfair that some New Hampshire team but that's its own model of fairness. Yeah. Everybody has a chance to get there. That's not what they value. They're not valuing access or fairness or any of that. In fact, the state attorney general for Utah, I'm not even kidding, should start suing on Utah State's behalf now. Because if that G5 bid goes away or whatever and they don't have access, that absolutely is illegal. Because we are dealing with public universities here. There is such a thing as Title IX. You have to somehow have access. Your favorite attorney general, Mark Shurtleff, basically proved that with the old way when he sued the BCS. And basically protected the access for smaller schools at that point. States need to take it up because they're going to get rid of that AQ. And yeah, it'll hurt the Big 12, but it'll hurt the Pac-12 way more, way sooner.
Yes, it will.
All right, stay tuned. More next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about our friends at Miki Couture, the best blankets and gifts ever. Plus, you can save 50% this holiday season with promo code ZONE50. Shop online at MikiCouture.com or visit any of their great 6 locations. Ben, is Will Hardy coming apart at the seams?
No.
So this making the rounds, obviously. Will, last night during the game, during a timeout, somebody... ambushed him with a video? Somebody was
sitting behind the Jazz bench.
And videoed out his message during the break. Part of his message was, quote, "I'm tired of bleeping doing this every game. Bleeping play harder."
It was about the team's defense.
Well, yeah, usually you don't complain about trying hard on offense because
everybody
loves playing
offense.
It's really
fun to play offense.
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, he appears to be quite upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm joking about is he coming undone?
Sure.
I'm not actually being serious about that. But I do think tanking probably isn't all that fun, and being asked to set a culture or development or these other things that he's being required to do, we've talked about it a lot, is not really an easy needle to thread. Because standards get set. What kind of standard was he setting with his young players last year at the end of the year?
Right. Not a great one. Just go out there and play.
And it's not his fault.
Roll the ball out there. No, it's not at all.
That's what he was asked to do. Roll the ball out there, sit down in the fourth quarter, and what? Try not to ruin the draft pick?
Yeah, don't win.
So how are you expected to set a culture? We got done in the first hour because culture is such a buzzword. But we were talking about what makes Oklahoma City so great. And it's part of the reason is because their best player or their best players are two-way players that play really hard on both sides of the ball. And so that means that everybody has to do it. That's culture. So Mark Dagnall at the beginning of his run with Oklahoma City had to set the standard that this is how you're going to play if you want to play here. Then he got the buy-in from the best player, and then everybody else has to buy in or they don't play.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got the best defense and offense in the league, which is absolutely incredible. And I say it like it's an easy thing to do.
No, it's
which was
unheard of, yeah.
Locke's point when we talked about this on Crosstalk last night on the broadcast. But Will Hardy has to try and establish something like that with this team like that. And build,
like that?
But at the same time, you don't get a lot of incentive. There's not a lot of incentive to the players to defend them for a second. What do you want us to do? Are we serious about winning ball games? Because I don't really feel like going out there and breaking my tail on defense, especially game 25 or whatever it is.
Well, let me zoom out a little bit, even from Will Hardy and Mark Daigneault, the coach at Oklahoma City, and go to Sam Presti and go to, honestly, Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck and the approach they took, because it was a different approach, which was the Jazz, when they were starting this rebuild, when they had all these draft picks, which wasn't the first year, it was the second year. Remember, they didn't have any draft picks that first year, and Danny Ainge talked about how boring it was, and rightfully so. But that second year, they have 3 draft picks. And while they did go with a defense guy in Taylor Hendricks, he's been too hurt to be able to get on the floor. Their next 2 players were one side of the floor guys, and it was Keontae George at 15 or 16, wherever they picked him, and Bryce Sensabaugh, who was number 27. And Bryce Sensabaugh has maybe taken more wrath from Will Hardy than anybody because of his defensive flaws. Because Bryce is not a good defensive player. And Bryce knows he's not a good defensive player, and he's trying to be a good defensive player, and he just blows rotations, and he's not in the right spot. Neither here nor there. Then you go out and you draft Isaiah Collier, who also caught the wrath of Will Hardy last night, and I don't think that's who he was necessarily yelling at. We don't see who he's yelling at. But but he only played 6 minutes last night. And Kyle Filipowski, who I think it might be who he was yelling at last night. I could be wrong. Well, those guys are one-sided players, and I get that they were great offensive players, which is why Isaiah Collier was the number 1 recruit in his class, and Kyle Filipowski was 5 in his class, but because we rate guys based on the offensive side of the ball. So what I'm trying to get to is it's hard to establish a defensive culture on the back end if you don't set it up on the front end. And the front end is who you draft and who you bring into your team. And credit to Sam Presti, who has made a point of bringing in two-way guys. And when they get one-way guys like Josh Giddey, they ship them out in favor of two-way players like Lou Dort.
If they don't start playing.
If you don't figure out how to do it, you don't stick around regardless of... I mean, Josh Giddey was one of the cool young players in the NBA. Now, he had his off-the-court issues, but, I mean, we used to talk about what a good player he was and how exciting he was. And, wow, how lucky are they to have him. They recognized he didn't match their culture, so they got rid of him. And that's cutthroat. But if you want to have a culture, you can't have cracks.
Well, in all fairness, his game didn't really fit either.
It didn't fit either.
No.
But he was good, and you could justify, hey, that was a win. I drafted that player. Look at how much we like him. We're going to adjust to fit what he does because it makes me look good that I drafted him where I did in the lottery.
It's tricky. Do you want to draft a defensive guy and teach him how to play offense, or do you want to draft an offensive guy and talk him into playing defense? Because here's the problem with Bryce Sensabaugh. Is he doesn't realize that he's not going to be an NBA player unless he figures it out on the defensive end. And I think my wife may be listening, so I'll use this comparison. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not an organized person. Uh-huh. I'm not. It's really a difficult thing for me. And I've tried in the past to say, I'm just not an organized person when I've fallen short on the organization standpoint. Uh-huh. And her line back to me was not, okay.
Right. Right.
It was, you better become a more organized person.
On it. Yeah.
If we want this relationship to work out. She didn't, of course, put it that plainly. But the point, right? You know? Mm-hmm. Bryce is a fine scorer.
Yeah, good scorer. Yeah.
He's a skilled player. He's kept his body, I think, in a pretty good spot, which is a good sign. But, dude, I don't know what to tell you. You can tell me you're not a good defender, but unless you pour it on and become one, you're not going to play for the team.
Yep.
That's, I don't know this for a fact, but that's basically what they told Keontae George.
That's exactly what they told
and
Keontae.
He 1,000% responded.
Yep.
And you can get through to some players, and you can't get through to others. If Carrillo Facinko would have had his head on straight, he would have played for 15 years in the league. Uh-huh. And I pick him just because he's the goofiest. He was the goofiest, most immature, and I've seen a lot of immature players come through in the NBA. And he had to have been the most goofy, immature player I've ever seen on a Jerry Sloan team. Yep. And it's like, he played what? He went and had a stint with the Pacers. He probably played for, was it like 5
years,
or 6?
But he played that long? Yeah, it was not long.
Dude was the size of a house and was pretty athletic. Mm-hmm. He could have played in the league forever if he figured it out. And I'm sure Jerry told him, like, dude, if you don't figure this out, you're going to be out of the league.
Yeah.
And it didn't sink in. And that's the deal with Bryce. You can go to Will Hardy, and we can put Collier in here. And I often don't like singling out people when I think it's
totally fair.
It's more than just a couple people. But specifically with Bryce Sensabaugh, you've got the size, you've got the length, you've got the athletic ability. You're never going to be Luka Doncic, where you're so good on the offensive side you can fool a coach into not letting you play defense.
Yep.
So unless you figure it out, it's not going to work.
And you have to put your money where your mouth is. I mean, that's just the truth of when that's where the Jazz are, and Will Hardy has teased it at times. Famously, the fourth quarter where he benched basically all the starters and went with Cody Williams and Elijah Harkless. Because Cody is an extraordinarily flawed basketball player, right? Like, Cody is the 12th or 13th best player on the Jazz roster right now. And it's a whiff of a draft pick, and that's unfortunate. He does try on the defensive end. And if you want to set that culture, Will Hardy's shown that he will throw him out there. And Elijah Harkless is a two-way player, but he does play on that end, and Will Hardy occasionally will do it, but he is not set that that's what they're going to do at all costs. Now, the good news for the Jazz is their formula, or I should say their strategy, to go out there and draft these players, to find their star offensive players, has worked. They have Lowry right now. Keontae George is a very good offensive player, and Ace Bailey's going to be a really good offensive player. Now, the nice thing about Ace is he actually does try to play both sides of the floor. He doesn't know where he is.
His problem is he's just lost.
He just doesn't know where he is, but he really does try to play both sides of the floor.
Which is Taylor's problem, too.
And I think those guys will be fine, and they will figure it out.
Right.
You don't have to do the Bryce Sensabaugh draft or the Kyle Filipowski draft or the Isaiah Collier draft anymore. You don't have to take that approach going forward. You can now go out and try to get guys who you know are just going to play on both ends of the floor without just saying, well, we need to find these offensive stars or the best player available. You can start to look now, just kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, of just getting the best defensive players and building your identity that way. And you will have to move on from a lot of these guys who only play one side of the floor. But if you don't want to have Will Hardy yelling at his team anymore, that is the approach you have to take. And it has to be from the top down. Because this is not a Will Hardy problem. This is a strategy problem from the beginning of the rebuild, which is by design, and it will pay off. But they're going to have to shift away from what they have been doing over the last couple of years, and I do think you will see that.
All right, stay tuned. We will have more coming up next. Wrapping up the show, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
The Jazz are playing terrible basketball, non-competitive, and it's painful to watch. I've been a Jazz fan for 43 years, and the past 2 seasons is some of the worst Jazz basketball I think that's been played in a long time. Tanking or not tanking, it's just bad right now.
Thank you to Larry, who hit us up on the call-in feature on the KSL Sports app. It is the worst basketball they've ever played. Mm-hmm. You can go back.
Last year truly was.
Yeah, truly was. Yeah, they've never been the worst team in the league before, and they were the worst team in the league. So that 100% is true. With this year, though, I would advise Larry to not look at the overall product and try and look on the micro. Unfortunately, that's what this team is about this year, and that was always going to be true. For example, Ben has carpal tunnel now from writing about Walt Clayton.
Correct.
Ben,
a lot
it's
about
Ben's
Walt Clayton.
Favorite subject. Deep exposés into Walt Clayton.
As much as I think people want to read about back-to-back 30-point losses, they generally like the bright spot of the young player.
But Walt played well.
He did play well.
He did play.
It is the micro.
And he's a, late first rounder? Mm-hmm. Am I remembering that right? Like those
19, yeah.
Yeah, mid. Those guys still true are hit or miss.
Yep.
They're either going to be good or they're not going to be in the league.
Yep.
I'll remind you of Mo Almond. The Jazz took him with a 23rd, 4th pick. Like everybody's like, this is the shooter they've been needing.
Yep.
Here he comes.
Shot in the dark.
And he was not.
Nope.
But then you look at somebody like, ultimate example, Jimmy Butler, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like that. And with Walt, it could go either way.
Rudy Gobert.
He's got a ton of potential. Yeah, a ton of potential. But he's got to get out there and show it. And there is something to be read into that he played well in his opportunity, given that he had that opportunity because other guys aren't doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah. And to be doing it this early in the season where the ball is not just being rolled out to him. But
there is some stuff on the micro that you can look at, Larry. And if you're searching for some sort of optimism, it is there. Ace Bailey can get any shot on the floor. Now, I don't know if he's going to make it.
Yeah.
But, when it comes... Donovan Mitchell was never freaking open at the end of games because he was 6'1", and the other team knew he was going to have the ball the whole time.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey can have the ball anywhere against anyone in the league, and he can find a shot.
You'd be like, wow, that was a good shot.
Yeah, good might be a loose term, but
he got a look. He got a good look. We'll say that. He got a good look.
That's Kevin Durant's superpower.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not comparing Ace Bailey to Kevin Durant, but there is a similarity there that he can get himself a shot anywhere on the floor.
Yeah.
And that was even true last night against Oklahoma City. It just didn't go down.
Right.
But he had that, elbow three? I don't know, what do you want to call that? That right at the break three?
Yeah.
All night. Mm-hmm. It just didn't go in.
Yeah.
He's gotten into the lane and he's pulled up and free throw line extended, has a beautiful shot. It just doesn't go in all the time. As soon as he hones that and actually figures out what his spots are, potential to be deadly. Keep an eye on stuff like that. I'll tell you a good sign about Ace, and this seems stupid. He runs back on defense.
Mm-hmm.
I know that seems like such a silly thing to look to. Watch NBA players and estimate a percentage of the NBA that runs back on defense.
Yeah.
It's probably like 30%.
He is doing it on both sides of the floor. And again, he's not figured it out. He's not solved it. But at least there's some good signs in that direction.
But to our guy Larry, who what they're trying to do this year is try hard and lose. Try, and lose. It's not going to be pretty at times. And it certainly has not been for the last 2 games.
It is funny, every game. And this one was coincidentally again against Brooklyn, which was the one with Jazz fans freaked out about the Jazz beating Brooklyn here last year in January, and Jazz still finished with the worst record, was Jazz win on the road at Brooklyn, which they were always going to win on the road at Brooklyn this year, and fans freaked out. They lost their next 2 games by 60 points. You know, they were never in that Knicks game.
Well,
they were never in the game last night.
I'm done paying attention to the tank note. I was never on board to paying attention to a win or a loss in that sense in November, December.
Sure.
It's ridiculous.
Agreed. I'm with you.
Okay, before we go,
Larry.
can I tell you that I'm really enjoying the tears coming from Notre Dame and their fans? That I am truly – it's like we were talking about you have somebody in your life who is a musician that's competing for first or second chair. It's like if the well-resourced flautist with the best flute and who always gets the breaks and all this somehow gets second chair.
Yeah.
You don't really feel bad for that flautist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything's been handed to him.
And not necessarily that I would enjoy drinking their tears, but in Notre Dame's case, it didn't break their way for the first time in the history of college football, and they're crying.
They're perplexed.
And I find it hilarious.
Yep.
And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Listening to their AD cry in the media today has just been a true blessing.
We have not addressed the teams sitting out bowl games, which I think is it is certainly tied to the college football playoff becoming the only thing that matters anymore, and all the rest of the games are nearly a waste of time. And the number of players who aren't going to be participating in them is leading now to, I think, the reason why teams aren't playing entirely. The players don't want to go. You know, our friend Kyle Gunther used to love to go to the bowl games because it was the only time you could get paid, essentially. You could get a TV, or you could get a coat, or you could get a backpack, or whatever. You could get gifts for going to the bowl game, and now every player's paid, so those don't matter so much anymore. But yeah, guys want to enter the transfer portal. Guys want to hit the road. Guys don't want to have their entire December taken up to go play in Orlando or wherever. If they don't have to, they've got money. They want to spend it. They want to have their free time, or they want to hit the transfer portal. So it's a disaster what's happening right now with the postseason with college football, and the bowl games are a nightmare. And the playoff, the one funny thing is, you're right. Notre Dame has to sit with this all off season and listen to everyone make fun of them for not showing up.
And pout.
And I don't have any problem with it.
Oh, hilarious.
Yep.
Scared of BYU as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that again.
They're frightened of the Cougs.
That game, and they're going to be talking about it during the Pop Tart Bowl when that game kicks off. Was it the 27th?
Uh-huh.
They're going to say, this was originally supposed to be Notre Dame. That was the thought. I mean, that is going to be something that Notre Dame has to live with. Unfortunately, we know the College Football Playoff Committee will bend over backwards for Notre Dame next year to make sure they get in. The contract is already there.
We just saw an ad on the mouse for the Neil Diamond movie coming out. Mm-hmm. If you were Hans, would you see it? Like a dyed-in-the-wool Neil Diamond guy, would you see it?
Yes, because this isn't about Neil Diamond. It's about a Neil Diamond impersonator.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
okay. Oh, so that makes it better.
Hugh Jackman playing the role of somebody impersonating
so he'll
Neil
like
Diamond, so he'll like it.
Because I was really worried about the Bob Dylan movie.
You're a Bruce Springsteen fan?
No.
Apparently, the new Springsteen documentary biopic is terrible.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he's okay, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not Springsteen guy.
Yeah.
The Elton John one was so terrible. I was so.
They're bad.
I was
Music
so
biopics are bad.
The Dylan one wasn't.
It was fine.
It wasn't.
It was as good as those can be.
The Johnny Cash one wasn't. That was pretty good.
I didn't see the Johnny Cash one.
The Queen one was meh.
Awful.
What's his name was pretty good as Freddie.
Yeah, right.
But
that's their whole thing. Is your whole bit is you just play a guy.
Remy Malek. Yeah. But Elton won. Oh, my Lanta.
Elvis was terrible.
Elvis was so bad.
Didn't love. Elvis was okay. You just hate Tom Hanks.
Well, Jacob Elordi was good, but yeah, the whole stuff with the Colonel was.
Stay tuned.
Painful.
Hanson Scotty coming up next.
Thanks, Christian.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.